Hey, what's up? Welcome to the pod. If you followed me for a while, you know that this is like my fourth time restarting this pod. I got cancelled by the. What's fuck? I'm already blanking on words. Jesus Christ! I got cancelled by the higher ups, by the company HBO. Didn't give me enough budget to continue the series, and then I came back. Then I left again. This podcast is basically Futurama, except Futurama's really good. Um, Yes, this is my fourth time restarting this podcast. Call me the Podfather. Come to me on the day that I restart my shit podcast for the fourth time. This is a bad impression. I've been practicing The Godfather a lot, and I gotten like decent at it, and then I just blanked. I don't know why. You gotta get the teeth out. You come to me on the day that I fuck you in the ass. I don't know. But it's good to be back. It's not actually. I don't know how this is going to go. Look, So I did this podcast for like, I don't know, a few months when it was first a thing. And I did like an episode where I like full clickbaited like Matt Rife shirtless. And I was like, is Matt Rife cancelled? And it got like 6,000 listens across YouTube and Spotify. And then I never did another episode again because I hated that I did like the clickbaity shit. I hated I did the clickbaity shit. And also, when I was doing this pod, I felt like I was like, okay, guys, welcome back to the podcast. I felt like I was doing that, and it's just like so performancy, and I don't like it. I hate when like, when you listen to those podcasts, it sounds like a radio show. Like, okay, now we're gonna do the segment where we fucking measure each other's cocks and suck each other off. I hate it. I hate it. It's the worst. It should be just like talking. Just talking, you know what I mean? And then I did the podcast with Hugh, me and Hugh Robb, the GOAT, and that was really good. That was really fun. But then we just decided that, it was too much work. We're both working full time, doing stand up amongst other shit and making the podcast. Just life's too hard, you know what I mean? Life's too hard. But we're back. We spent 3 minutes talking about nothing. If you're listening, the podcast was originally called Let's Talk About Nothing, so it was more fitting. Now it's the Anthony Negro Show. Just because I feel like if you see that name, you're going, no way this guy's last name's Negro. And you're clicking on the vid. You know what I mean? Like, you're doing that for sure. But what's going on in the world, Minecraft, Dave Grohl. I saw a cringy video of Taylor Swift dancing. That's it. Let's talk about Dave Grohl. So Dave Grohl's been like slated in the media because he's had a bastard. He's fathered a bastard. And he's like, I'm going to be taking care of this child. Me and my wife are working through it, blah, blah, blah. And everyone's like, what a piece of shit. But who else fathered a bastard and raised them in the castle? Lord Ned Stark of Winterfell. So really, maybe we should be looking at Dave Grohl like, what a hero. He's raising the true heir to America in his home. Because, art imitates life. Or life imitates art. Yeah, life imitates art. That's the saying. So if I had to guess, I think we're going to have the war of the 5 presidents pretty soon. It's going to be... So Kamala will get voted in. And then Donald Trump will just continue to... Donald Trump will just like... have a... Oh, he's not in the White House. Oh, I've already got holes in my fucking theory. Okay, so... No, this works. So Kamala will get voted in, and Joe Biden's going to be like, Kamala, come tomorrow. I'll let you take over the White House. We'll open the gates. You walk in. There needs to be no bloodshed. And then, boom, Trump comes. Siege. Takes over the White House. And then he's just like, no, actually, I am just the president. I'm actually just the president. And everyone knows Kamala's the rightful president. She was voted in. But Trump's going to be like, no, I'm the actual president. But then what's going to happen? Dun, 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 a la Joffrey, Donald Trump, poisoned. Poisoned at his own wedding after Ivanka finally leaves him. And then what happens? Kamala can't take over. She's in the other side of the realm. What was Stannis doing? Stannis was on Dragonstone. Then he went to the Wall. She's at the Wall. She's fighting the White Walkers. So Kamala's fighting the White Walkers. So she can't then make it to occupy the White House. Then, who takes over? Elon Musk. He's like, we have the most gold. We're the Lannisters. We're actually on the throne now. So, Elon Musk is going to rule. And then, who's Renly? Wait, who's Renly? Andrew Tate is Renly. No claim to the throne. Just goes, oh no, I'm also the king. I'm also the king. And everyone's like, fuck, bro, you have no claim. But you got the biggest army. Because he's got the Tate fanboys. So like, you got the biggest army. So you might just be able to take over the White House and go. So Andrew Tate starts marching on the White House. And then Tristan Tate kills him with blood magic. And neither of them get the throne. And then through all this bloodshed, all this warfare, Kamala's still marching on the White House. She's still trying to get there. Dave Grohl comes along. He goes, actually, my bastard son, daughter of Hillary Clinton, the rightful heir to the White House. Boom. Dave Grohl's son, President of the United States. Thank you. Thank you. Well done. Well done. I'm calling it. I'm calling it right now. That is what's going to happen. Put a lot of thought into that. Really stretched my mind on that. But yeah, you know what I don't get? Like people like Dave Grohl cheated on his wife. Yeah, shitty thing to do. I'm not listening to his music anymore. I'm not doing this and this. Who cares? Like, do you really think anyone, well, not all of them obviously, but anyone that famous isn't cheating on their spouse? Like, imagine just being tempted at that level. Imagine you've gotten to the point in life where you're no longer hot. You can't keep the weight off. You're just a slob. And you still just got like 21-year-olds throwing themselves at you. No one knows what it's like to be tempted. This is just a Bill Burr bit. I'm just copying a Bill Burr bit. Never mind. But what else? Minecraft trailer. Amazing. I can't wait for that movie. Because here's what I'm thinking, right? They've made it live action. So they've made the characters live action. And we meet Steve, who's played by Jack Black. Jack Black has a penis and sexual urges. So does that mean that Steve is having sex with the animals in Minecraft? Because evidence would suggest yes, right? So, like, that's just a logical assumption to make. That he's been surviving there, eating and having sex with the animals. Because it's live action. So it's humans. They have human tendencies. So which animals do you think Jack Black's having sex with? And then you got to ask the question, now that humans have rocked up, is he going to be like, oh, wow, humans? Or is he just going to be like, nah, I'm chill with animals. I don't want to fucking yuck. Humans? Ugh. Gross. Is that what's going to happen? A dark Minecraft movie would be sick. Like, obviously, they're just going to make it for kids, but a dark Minecraft movie where they're just like, just Steve surviving and having to like, do you reckon Steve gets high? Because a man's got to have a vice. And in the Minecraft world, I don't think there's much, apart from have sex with the animals, I don't think there's much for Steve to do. Maybe he can get high on the, like when you eat the zombie rotten flesh and you start losing hearts, that's got to be a bit of a head spin, right? Someone's got to bring Steve a vape when they come in from the real world. Just a blueberry ice I get, like, Steve, brother, have a hit of this. Your head's gonna spin, brother. And then he'll do that, and he'll be like, this is great, awesome, I appreciate this. Do you want to meet the fucking sex lamb that I keep under my house? It's a sex lamb. And Jason Momoa was gonna be like, when I was a Dothraki horse lord, I had sex with sheep all the time. What a callback. What a callback. Comedian right here. What an amazing callback. I gotta be honest, when you got no one else to bounce these schizophrenic rants off, it's very hard to tell if they're good or not. It feels like they're very bad. Because usually, like, when I was doing this with Hugh, Hugh would be laughing. I'd be like, oh, this must be funny. Let's keep going deeper into it. But when it's just me, it's just like, I don't know if my thoughts are that funny. Like Steve having sex with animals in Minecraft, not the most highbrow stuff. But I've never been a highbrow guy. So, it is what it is, I guess. Oh, man, speaking of, I had this crazy dream the other day. You know when you have a dream, and in the dream you think the dream is reality? I mean, I just look like, by the way, if you're listening and you're not watching on YouTube, I'm wearing like a white, unironed fucking t-shirt and like a flanny. I look like a old wog man who's just like, World War II, fought for the Nazis. And you're like, whoa, didn't know that. But you had a dream. It was one of those dreams where like you're convinced the dream's real life. Like you're in the dream and you have memories of the reality and timeline that you're currently in. It's like no inkling of a thought that you're dreaming, right? And basically in this dream, I was like friends with this woman who ran a hotel. We were like friends, I guess. And sometimes she had celebrity guests. So I'm walking into, I go there because me and my friends want to practice golf. I think we're doing mini golf or some shit at the hotel. And then we're there playing golf, and my friend who runs the hotel comes up to me and she's like, oh, by the way, a bunch of people called in sick. Can you just go clean the like VIP room upstairs? We've got a celebrity guest. And I was like, yeah, sure, no worries. Like, yeah, okay. Tell her we can get her like another room because it's not cleaned in time, all that shit. So I go upstairs. And I start cleaning the room. And bro, it is Jessica Alba. It's Jessica Alba. So I'm cleaning the room and then I'm like, oh, sorry, like about, the mess. We can get you another room. Or like, if you just wait 20 minutes, like I'll clean this one. Like up to you. And I'm like starstruck because I'm like, it's fucking Jessica Alba. And then she's like, no, it's all right. Like, don't worry about it. I just came up here to get changed, and then you can just clean up your hand. I was like, okay, yeah, no worries. She starts changing in front of me. Legit, like, do you know what it was? You know how they say, like, in your dreams, your brain can't make up stuff unless you've already seen it? It was the scene from Good Luck Chuck where she starts undressing in front of him. So anyways, I hook up with Jessica Alba in the dream. And then, like, you know what's funny is even in the dream, as I was hooking up with her, my thought was like, I can't wait to brag about this to my friends. I hope they believe me. I just can't wait to brag about this. So I'm loving life. And then I wake up. And as I wake up, I'm legit like, no! No, it's fake. It's fucking not real. I was going to kill myself. I realized it wasn't real. And it was just hurtful. Speaking of killing myself, it was Are You OK Day yesterday. And dude, what's the deal with like the only people that post the Are You OK Day post is always like the worst people you know. It's always like someone who was just like a complete fucking, it's like some girl who was a complete bitch in high school just being like, my DMs are always open. It's like, really? Are you gonna reply to every DM? Like, if I'm suicidal and I reach out to you, are you gonna you know what I mean? If every single person messaged her, I wonder how many she'd reply to. It's very, very interesting to think about. I thought of something just then that I was gonna say. You know how they're like, talk to someone? Like talk to someone and like reach out to your friends? You know, like sometimes people are like telling you they're having a shit time and you're still just like, oh man, how do I get out of this conversation? How do I get out? I want to go home. I really want to go home. And you're just looking at like the clock, like, it's a Friday night and you're in the city and you're waiting to go home and you're like, fucking traffic's going to be a nightmare in the next 20 minutes. The footy's finishing. This person's telling me about how their fucking girlfriend fucked their dad. I don't care. I just want to go home. And you're going to be like, oh man, it is what it is. You do you, brother. You do you. You got this. Try your best. Try your best. Alright, I'm going to try and stay away from suicide. Because, I don't know, shit subject. Shit subject, innit? Dude, this has been 15 minutes. When I was like, okay, I'll talk about Dave Grohl, then Minecraft, and then whatever the fuck that was. I was like, that's half an hour. Easy. That'll be an easy half hour. 15 minutes. But I guess it is what it is. What else been doing? Dude, I've gotten like autistically into trophy hunting on PS5. So I'm sure like if you listen to this you have a PS4 or PS5, but you know when you get the trophies for completing shit in game? If you do every one, you get a platinum trophy. And that's it. It doesn't mean anything. And I've just been doing that like non-stop. And it's actually what I want to do with my life. I've figured out. I just want to get as many platinum trophies as possible. Like when I started doing TikTok and stand-up and all that shit a few years ago, I had like head in the clouds. I was like, you know, I just want to create nice art. I want people to remember me as one of the greats. And I just want to create one thing that just lives forever. And that'll be my legacy. One thing that lives forever, and that'll be my legacy. And now I'm just like, fuck, I want to make enough money that I can just never make a TikTok or do stand-up again. And I'm going to play PS5 till I die. That's my new plan. And I think this one will make me a lot happier. You know what's crazy? Speaking of legacy, George R.R. Martin. George Hard R. Martin. Woo! George Hard R. Martin. I'm sure I'm not the first person to think of that. George R.R. Martin's like spiraling, right? Because House of the Dragon Season 2 was shit for the standards of like Season 1 was really good. And then Season 2 I've read the book, they went off the book. They started doing random shit. And George R.R. Martin's cracked the shits because he's like, they're not going by my source material, right? Because he kind of is alluding to, he has a blog where he updates everything. What he's kind of alluding to is like, this show is going to be my legacy. Well, yeah, this is going to be my legacy. And now I'm really nervous. It's shit. Game of Thrones finished bad. House of the Dragon looks like it's also going to finish bad because they're not following the source material. So he's like spiraling. And it's like, brother, if you just finish the books, that'll be your legacy. Maybe don't worry about all these shit TV shows. Like, and I feel sad for the guy. He's like 76. He should be chilling. He should be chilling and like, he should have grandkids that he's fucking annoying. Like when they come over, he's like, why you not visit me? Why you not? He's also just my nonna in this scenario. I might die. Why you not visit? My grandkids does not love me. So yeah. And you're going to be like, hey, maybe if you stop complaining, we'd visit you. But, I don't know. So yeah, I feel bad for George. I rewatched seasons 1 to 4 of Game of Thrones. That is top tier TV, man. Like top tier. It is the best. If, let's say season 4 was the end of the show and it all wrapped up nicely in a bow, that would be remembered as the best TV show ever. Better than Breaking Bad. You know what kind of person I hate? What kind of person I fucking hate? Me and like a friend were talking about how much for you to eat like a random person's ass on the street. And then naturally the conversation flowed to like, what's the context? Is it a random person? Is it a person we know is hygienic? Is it this? Is it that? Just like a typical hypothetical situation, right? And the conversation went smoothly. We figured out the context. We both answered like, because it was what's the lowest amount of money you'd do it for to eat a random person's ass off the street. We talked it out. We came to our conclusions. Now that's fine. But do you know what type of person I hate is when you do that, you try to like have the hypothetical conversation with someone. Honestly, it's mostly women. Guys are always up for a hypothetical. You can ask a guy like, would you have sex with a chick if she had no eyes? And he'd be like, would I have sex with a chick if she had no eyes? And then he'd ask follow-up questions. Is she wearing eye patches? Do I have to do missionary and stare into the sockets? What's the deal? But some people, but what? How much to eat someone's ass off the street? No amount of money. I wouldn't. I just wouldn't do that. I wouldn't. And it's like, well, you would. For a certain amount of money, you would do anything. Anyone would do anything. And it's like, no, not me. I wouldn't do it. And it's like, well, are you like convinced? Are you trying to convince me you're like some high class person who's levitating above everyone else? Like, what are you doing? Like, okay, so no, you got to name a price. You've got to name a price. Okay, $20 million. And it's like, really? That's the lowest you'd go? Yep, that's the lowest. So you wouldn't do it for $19.5 million. Shut up. You're full of shit. Worst people, bro. Worst fucking people. And then it's like, okay. Then you try and give them parameters to try and give them an answer. You're like, all right, no one would know that you did it. How about that? Nobody would know. Like, but I'd know. Who cares if you know? Who cares if you know? You've got $19 million. You got generational wealth. Pisses me off, man. Pisses me off. Those type of people fucking die. Genuinely, no one likes you. If someone asks you a hypothetical question, just answer it. It's not primary school. They're not trying to trap you into a fucking bullying rouse where everyone's going to go, he said he'd fuck his cousin, and then make fun of you. People are just trying to pass the time because it's better than small talk. It's better than, where did you go to school? Okay, here's a story. This is the last story of the pod, and then I'll probably wrap it up. I've been doing extras work. I've been doing it. I did one extras job, right? I was an extra in one commercial, and it's like, right, I rock up, and I was the first person there because I'd be punctual. You know me, punctual motherfucker. I rock up, and people start like walking in, and it's just like awkward small talk. You know what I mean? Like I was like, "Oh, is this your first time doing extras work?" Some people are like, "Yeah." Some people are like, "Nah," and that's just the conversation. Like if they said nah, it was like, "I wonder what happens," and if they said yeah, it was like, "So what happens?" This one guy comes in, and he's watching the Arsenal game on his phone. If you know me, you know Arsenal gets my dick harder than anything in the world. So I'm like, "Hey, bro, what's the score?" And he's like, "Oh, Arsenal fan." And I'm like, "Yeah, man." Which, that response wasn't the fucking score of the game, which is what I wanted to know. And I'm like, "So what's the score?" And then he shows me the screen. So I've got to like peek over his shoulder and be like... But anyways, this guy is one of the best looking men I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, I don't know why he's an extra. Even if he can't act for shit, he should be the lead in movies or a model, right? And so I'm like, oh, like, talking to him about Arsenal for a bit. Then I'm like, what kind of extras work have you done, bro? And he's like, oh, this is like my 50th, like, extras gig. And I was like, that makes sense. This guy's pretty as fuck, right? And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's nice. And I'm like, how often doing it? I'm like, how long you been doing it for? And he's like, 6 months. And I'm like, so you're doing like 2-3 a week? And he's like, yeah. And then, this is when it gets weird. He starts shifting into like cockiness. It's like, but he did like the, not cockiness, like, yeah, I've actually done this like 2-3 times a week. So if you need anything, just, he did it like, what's like the humble brag? Like, or like bragging disguised as complaining. That's the one. Like, oh man, I've got so many notes in my wallet. It doesn't fit in my pocket. Fuck. Dude, my dick's so big. I've got to buy like underwear every day because my dick's constantly ripping through it because I get so hard that it just rips through it. I haven't had ED once, bro. Like, he's just doing that shit pertaining to extras work, which is like, look, doing extras work 2 to 3 times a week is fucking mad money because extras gives you like minimum $33 per hour and usually around the $40 per hour mark. And you just are doing nothing. So on the day I was there, we rocked up, we went to wardrobe, we had to tick off all our names and shit. We went to wardrobe and then we're chilling out for like an hour, just talking, just getting to know each other. And then we go and they feed us a good lunch. They fed us chicken fried noodles, sorry. That was good. I polished it off. A blueberry muffin and a fruit salad. And that was 3 hours of our time, just sitting there. And then we spent an actual hour filming the scene we were in, which sucked because we were outside and it was like 1 degree or 2 degrees that day. It was back when like Melbourne was all wintry and full of winds and fucking downpour of rain and shit like that. And all day, this guy's just humble bragging about fucking being an extra. He's like, man, they always do this. Always just sitting here doing nothing. And it's like, that's the dream job, bro. Is sitting here doing nothing. And then he's like, being like, so I'm asking him questions about like extras work. And he's like, so what you want is you either want it to like, he's had the cuntiest energy. He's like, man, you want it to be like, you want it to go to overtime or you want it to be done in like 4 hours. And it's like, yeah, that's fucking any job, you retard. That's any job. You either want it to go to overtime so you make a bunch more money or you want it to be done in 4 hours. Crazy. I apologize for saying retard, by the way. Like what? Like, oh man, this guy was pissing me off. And like, the lunch was great. I just explained it. We had good food, and then we're eating it, and he's like, man, on Neighbours, you just get like a whole platter. It's like basically, it's like a buffet, man. This is shit compared to Neighbours. And it's like, all right, now we know you've done Neighbours. Cool, brother. Sick. You drove to Nunawading. Congratulations. Like, extras, being like a jaded extras worker has got to be the saddest fucking thing. Like, I think he was thinking we were like, man, this guy has done so much extras work that he's just burnt out on it. But the reality of it was like, bro, shut up. Shut up. We're all just hanging out. You know what I mean? This is one of the easiest jobs I've ever done. You don't need to be good at it. You don't need to be a good actor. You're just in the background, just like, bro, stop bragging about being a fucking extra. Like, if you're the lead in the commercial, like the guy who was the lead, I didn't get to meet him, but I was in the back of the scene that he was in, and he's doing like this talk to the camera thing, and this guy was killing it. He was nailing it every time, right? He was nailing it every time. And then they made him redo the shoot about 40 times, I reckon, because they're like, okay, we're just going to move the camera. Can you keep your eye line here? Let's move the lights over here. That guy has a right to complain. This is like just 5 hours of doing one line. That sucks. That's worth complaining about, even though he was probably getting paid at like 10, 20 grand. But still, fuck me. Man, extras work just takes it out of you. So easy, dude. It was so easy. The worst part was getting there because it was in Albert Park. And I live away from Albert Park. So that was the worst part. But whatever. Anyways, yeah, I said retard earlier and I apologize. I want to stop using that word, man. Not because I think it's offensive. I don't think it's offensive. But just because it's like a crutch in my vocabulary. You know what I mean? Like, I used to read the dictionary as a kid because I was like, I figured out, I was like, if I can just learn big words and use them in the correct context, then I can win any argument ever. Because I can just use the big word and then the person I'm arguing with won't know what the big word means. And then I can go to everyone surrounding and watching the argument like, he doesn't even know what that word means. So how can he be right about whatever it is we're arguing about? And then everyone watching, because we're all kids, doesn't want to also admit they don't know what word I'm using. So then by default, I just win the argument. Smart. Really smart. But I used to have a massive vocabulary, and now it's just like predominantly slurs. And I just got to cut it out. It's just a vocabulary crutch. But yeah. Do you think if you're called something enough, you should be able to say it? Because growing up, I'm blind in one eye. I got called blind retard a lot. And at what point am I able to just say it? Like, what point is it okay for me to say it? Because, like, I have trauma from that word. So, like, using it is actually empowering for me. It's actually really empowering. I could do that. But I don't know. Probably not. I was gonna make another point about the word. I also being called being called blind retard is funny. It's because am I retarded because I'm blind, which doesn't actually make sense. Because if you look up the definition of it, it just means slow. Like you can be like, if you have a door that's really like it closes really slowly, or a process is going slowly, it could be a great process. It could be like, hey, we're going to Mars. We've got it all figured out. Sorry, I just burped a million times. We're going to Mars. We've got it all figured out, but it's going to take 8 years. You can be like, that's a retarded process, which just means it's slow. But the process itself is really good. Okay, I'm going to end the podcast because I'm diving into like that comedian we can say it because it actually doesn't even mean the snowflakes don't even actually understand what it means, and I don't want to do that, so I'm going to go. But thanks for listening to the pod. Hope you enjoyed. Send me like recommendations for guests because I don't want to do this alone every week. I would like to get some guests at some point. But yeah, thanks for listening. Bye bye.